For the first few decades of the computing era, we had to go to the machines. We built massive, room-sized mainframes to process data in highly centralized locations. Then we shrunk the processors. Personal computers moved that calculating power onto individual desktops, allowing us to interact with the digital world on our own terms. Next, we untethered those screens entirely. We put the internet into our pockets and carried it with us everywhere. But across all three of these computing eras, a strict boundary remained. The internet was entirely trapped behind glass. It had no direct connection to the physical environment going on around it. If we wanted a computer to know a patient's temperature, a delivery truck's location, or a crop field's moisture, a human being had to manually observe it and type it in. And humans simply cannot monitor billions of physical variables in real time. To cross that boundary, the physical world needed a way to bypass us entirely and report its own status directly to the network. That requirement brought us to the current era of computing, the Internet of Things. Instead of relying on human keystrokes, we embed physical objects with miniaturized sensors and assign them unique network identifiers. But simply attaching a sensor to a machine doesn't make it smart. Getting an object to collect data, send it, process it, and act on it requires a highly specific 4-layer architectural stack. It operates as a continuous cycle, designed to grant autonomy to passive objects and bring them to life. Look at this smartwatch displaying an ECG graph. Layer 1 of the architecture is perception. This happens the moment the watch detects an irregular heartbeat. Tiny physiological sensors continuously pull in analog data from the environment, like the electrical impulses of a heart, and translate it into a digital format the device can understand. But before any data is collected, the device has to prove it hasn't been compromised. When it powers on, it runs a process called secure boot, authenticating its own operating system against the hardware. This mandatory self-verification ensures that a hacker hasn't secretly installed malicious code at the root firmware level to manipulate the sensor. If the device can't trust its own perception, the data is poisoned before it ever leaves the wrist. Once we have secure, verified data, we hit layer 2, connectivity and transport. We have to get that heartbeat out of the watch and onto a network. Traditional Wi-Fi is incredibly power-hungry. Sending heavy data streams drains untethered batteries in hours. To solve this, devices use low-power, long-range protocols like LoRaWAN. They send small, highly compressed data packets over distances up to 15 kilometers. These protocols strip away the heavy overhead, squeezing the necessary IP identifiers and the emergency heartbeat data into tiny payloads. This severe energy efficiency is the only way billions of remote sensors can survive for years without being plugged into a wall. Layer 3 is processing. If the device sends that irregular heartbeat data to a centralized cloud server thousands of miles away, the round-trip delay could take several seconds. For a medical emergency, latency is dangerous, so the network relies on edge computing, shifting the processing power locally to the device itself or a nearby network gateway. The edge node instantly filters out the ambient noise, analyzes the data, and confirms the cardiac event in milliseconds. That confirmation hands the data to layer 4, the application layer. Here, lightweight software protocols translate the insight into an actionable command. Without any human input, the system automatically triggers an alert on a hospital dashboard and dispatches an ambulance to the user's GPS location. Local processing and immediate application triggers are exactly what turn raw, isolated numbers into autonomous, real-world physical action. That exact 4-layer cycle, perceiving, transmitting, processing, and acting, is currently repeating billions of times every second across the globe. We see it in agriculture, where sensors planted directly into the soil report moisture levels to optimize irrigation and maximize crop yields. In our cities, traffic grids track vehicle flow and automatically adjust signal timing to clear congestion before it forms. On factory floors, industrial machines monitor their own vibrations, predicting when a part will fail so maintenance can occur before the production line stops. Together, these interconnected layers are actively constructing a $2 trillion digital nervous system over the physical world. But connecting our critical infrastructure to a decentralized network exponentially expands the attack surface for cyber threats. To build intelligent systems without exposing sensitive information, engineers use federated learning. Instead of sending raw data to a central server, it stays locked locally on individual devices. They only share the abstract patterns they learn, training the central model while preserving privacy. The Internet of Things allows the physical world to finally report its own status, but its survival relies entirely on our ability to build architectures that are flawlessly secure, right down to their decentralized edges.